Okay, let's begin. So thank you everyone for joining us for today's Manufacturers Update call. My name is Nicole and I'm a project engineer here at HTDC Innovate Hawaii. Innovate Hawaii is part of the Hawaii Technology Development Corporation, HTDC, which is a state agency attached to the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, whose mission is to grow the tech economy and workforce in Hawaii. Innovate Hawaii is the state's NIST Manufacturing Extension Partnership Center, which supports small and medium-sized manufacturers to enhance their productivity, growth, and technical performance through programs and services across the islands. Some housekeeping items before we dive into the webinar. This session will be recorded and will be sent to all who registered. And please make sure your microphones are muted during the presentation. And feel free to send in your questions during the session through the chat function. And we will also welcome any questions at the end of the presentation as well. And before we get to our main presentation with Cbed, I wanted the Business Development and Support Division, I wanted to talk about an opportunity with our Internationalization to Japan e-commerce and digital marketing assistance program, which is actually in partnership with HiSTEP, which you'll hear about shortly. So companies looking to sell products to Japanese consumers through e-commerce and digital marketing are encouraged to apply to this program. Selected companies will be awarded a vendor engagement valued at up to $10,000 to expand their existing e-commerce website and enhance digital marketing capabilities to take on the Japanese market. Companies must have an existing e-commerce website in English to apply. And the deadline for this program to apply is Friday, December 3rd at 5 p.m. And I will post a link in the chat for more information. So now without further ado, I would like to pass it on to Mark Ritchie, who will be talking about the Cbed program.
There we go. Let's see. Can you see the slide show here?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, well, aloha everyone, and thank you very much, Nicole, for inviting us to give a presentation about some of Cbed's programs. My name is Mark Ritchie, and I'm a branch chief in the Business Development and Support Division. And I'm joined here by my colleague, Jamie Lum, and also Lyle Fujikawa. And we're each going to talk about a couple of our programs. The first program we'd like to talk about is our Cbed loan program. Cbed stands for the Community-Based Economic Development Program. And that was a program started back in the early 90s. And it's economic development basically from the ground up, which means working with communities, working with kind of economically challenged areas that to try to grow companies there, provide services there. And it's sort of the opposite of trying to bring in, a company from the outside and plop it down in the middle to try to help economic development in an area of the state. By statute, the Cbed program, we can do three things. We offer grants, we do loans, and that's what I'm going to talk about today, our loan program, and then we also offer technical assistance. Currently, our Cbed loan program, we have about $1.25 million available for loans to Hawaii businesses. So the Cbed loan program, we can support a range of small businesses, but we do focus on businesses that are expanding in agriculture, value-added agricultural processing, food and things, and manufacturing and wholesaling. And that's why we think this platform here with this manufacturing group is perfect, because a lot of you might be interested in this loan program because we really are concentrating on manufacturers. Our loans usually range from about $50,000 to $100,000. We can go a little bit higher and a little bit lower, but that tends to be where we concentrate our efforts. And our interest rates can, by statute, be from 3% to 6%. We base our holding at 3% right now and have no intention of raising the interest rate. And we can actually go out for a 10-year term. Lastly, we also have a number of co-lending participation loan arrangements with other lending organizations, such as the State Department of Agriculture, the Hawaii Community Reinvestment Corporation, Feed the Hunger Foundation, and some others that we're sort of in discussions with. By statute, the legislature really wants us to try to leverage our lending with other organizations. So that's why we have a lot of these co-lending arrangements. So to be eligible for a Cbed loan, you must be a registered business in the state of Hawaii. And what we're really looking at is, we're not a bank, we're not competing against the banks. What we're trying to get is an economic development outcome, such as new jobs, services, increase in business for local suppliers, in other words, product inputs into a product. And so that's what the most important thing to us is, to be able to articulate what the economic development impact is if a company gets a loan from us and they're able to expand, employ more people, offer more goods and services in a particular community. Since we don't compete with the banks, we need at least one commercial turn down from a financial institution. So it could just be there, certain things weren't right and they basically decline, and we only need one. That's all we need. And again, we're really concentrating on sort of expanding businesses. Business has been in business for like 2 years or so, and looking at those areas of sort of agricultural value added, agricultural processing, and manufacturing and wholesaling. What can a Cbed loan be used for? By statute, the loans can be used for working capital, construction or improvement of facilities, purchase of equipment, and payment of production and marketing expenses. Most of our current loans have been used for working capital and purchase of equipment. There are some things that loans cannot be used for. You cannot use it to refinance or pay off a current loan you have somewhere else that's at a higher interest rate or anything like that. The statute's very specific that set up Cbed on things it cannot be used for, but these are the main uses. So if you're interested in this loan program, we don't want you to start doing a full-blown application, but we do have an online form that you can submit to us where we'll look at it and see, if you might be right for the Cbed loan program, and you might be right for a Cbed loan. And sometimes we'll even then talk to some of our co-lending partners about it as well to look at their interest. There's a lot of different loan programs out there. There's SBA guaranteed loans, there's just sort of commercial bank loans, and actually the guaranteed loans are through banks. And then there's a number of organizations that are doing different types of loans. So if you're not right for us, what we do try to do is forward you on to other organizations that might be more appropriate. And also we work very closely with the small business development centers in Hawaii. They're excellent at helping people look at their financial situation. They know a lot of the different loan products and things. So we don't just say no, but we try to help you grow as a company and find financial options that would be most appropriate. So on this loan interest form, what kind of questions are we asking? We want to know how long you've been in business. If you're a manufacturer, wholesaler, or in agriculture, your annual revenue, number of employees. One of the things that we've, since we started this, that we really want to make sure right up front that you're up to date on taxes and that you can provide 2 years of income statements or balance sheets. This is really important. And I know some companies are just sort of making it, they're startups, and a lot of this kind of stuff's a little bit disorganized. But if you're ever going to get financing, you really need to be able to be up to date on your taxes and then provide those income statements and balance sheets that will very quickly allow the underwriting process to start. And for an organization like us to see, okay, we're interested in giving you a loan, and we just want to make sure that you are set up to be able to repay that loan. And so we're looking at how much money you're seeking, turned down, as I said, from a commercial lender, and then what the loan is to be used for. And again, primarily the people that we do loans with, it's for working capital and purchase of equipment. And then we do ask about, what type of collateral you think you would be using. Here is our website, and you can go there. There's more information on the material, and then there's that online interest form. And right now we're running about a week to 2 weeks to get back to people once we get those loan interest forms from the Cbed program. If there's anything in chat, I'm happy to take any questions before I turn it over to my colleague. I was just seeing if there's anything in chat, and I don't see anything right now. So if you do have questions, we'll also have time at the end of the Cbed presentations if someone thinks of something in the meantime. So now I would like to turn this over to my colleague, Jamie Lum, who's going to talk about the HiSTEP program.
Thank you, Mark. Let me get my screen here. Okay. Can everyone see my slides?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you. Aloha, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. And thank you to Wayne and Nicole and Cindy for inviting us to talk about some of our Cbed programs. So my name is Jamie Lum. I'm also with the Business Development and Support Division. And myself, along with Mark and Lyle, all work together on our Hawaii State Trade Expansion Program, or what we call HiSTEP. So what is HiSTEP? Sorry, waiting for this to advance. Well, I'll talk while I try to get this to advance. So HiSTEP is a program that is primarily supported through a grant that we received from the Small Business Administration. And Cbed is the recipient, and we administer it. It's taking a little while here. But we do work with many partners to put the program together. This worked when I tried earlier, advancing my slides. Oh, there we go. Okay. It's something that we apply for annually, and we do. It is a competitive grant. The whole purpose of the program really is to expand U.S. exports, and of course, in particular with our state, is to get more companies out there in the global marketplace. So as I mentioned, we work with many different partners, of which HTDC Innovate Hawaii is one of them. And so they are involved in various aspects of the program, and which as we go along, I will mention. So HiSTEP is an export development program, and basically comprised of 3 integrated parts, what we call our export readiness component, and then our Hawaii pavilions and our company assistance. So I'll go into each one of these components. First, starting with the eligibility for HiSTEP. So in order, first of all, HiSTEP is open to any Hawaii company that is either new to export or already exporting and looking to expand their export activity. The minimum qualifications to get involved in HiSTEP is that you have to meet the federal definition of an eligible small business concern, meaning you meet the SBA's definition of a small business. You've been in business for at least a year, that you have a product or a service, and this is open to also service companies, but probably the large majority of our HiSTEP companies are manufacturers and product people that manufacture products. So it has to be at least 51% US made, and in the case of HiSTEP, we do give preference to companies that have at least 51% Hawaii value added, or value to their product or their service. You have to certify that you're not barred from receiving federal funds, and you have to be registered with both DCCA and with our state tax department. So beginning with our export readiness program, which consists basically of training webinars that are specific to different export topics and or that are specific to different markets. So on my next slide, I'll show you what we have coming up. But these are free. You go to our website to sign up. We do record them, so we actually do have a library of past webinars and seminars that we've done, I think going back to maybe 2017, and various topics, as I said, export financing, logistics, e-commerce. We've done marketing to Japan. We have one on Australia and New Zealand. We've done Canada, Taiwan. So that's that will give companies tools to learn more about exporting, particularly if you're new to export. And what we want companies to be able to do is to either be able to put together an export development plan, or if they already have one, that they may be able to tweak it based on information that they receive through these webinars. Another component of our export readiness is our one-on-one business advising, and that's where our partners come in. When you register with HiSTEP, we will put you in touch with one of our partner organizations to have a consultation so that they can learn a little bit more about your company and where you're at in terms of exporting and what your exporting goals may be, and they can help guide you through different aspects of either this program or maybe point you to other resources that you may need. So we had our very first session this morning on exporting agricultural products from Hawaii, and we featured our colleagues over at the Hawaii Department of Agriculture. And then next month, we have the Export University 101, which for companies that are new to export, I would recommend that you sign up for. This session is a little longer. Most of our sessions are about an hour. This one is a couple of hours because we touch upon, it's a broad overview basically of what you need to know if you're going to get into exporting. And so this is our calendar for the year. As I mentioned, so our website is invest.hawaii.gov, and you go under the exporting tab, and you can find all of the information that I'm going to be going through on this, but you'll find our calendar of all of the sessions, and you can sign up there. Our next component are the Hawaii pavilions. For the last 20 months or so, we haven't really seen any trade shows in person, or there have been variations on either virtual or virtual in-person hybrid. So we're really looking forward to 2022, where we can hopefully get back out there into the trade shows. Our Hawaii pavilions are basically,
Sorry, Jamie, you're on mute.
okay. We select trade shows in which we think that a majority, or there are a large number of companies that, Hawaii companies that can benefit from exhibiting in these trade shows. And we subsidize the majority of the cost for participating in the trade show. And we do charge a participation fee, but it's basically about maybe a quarter to a third of what a company would spend if a company would were to go into this trade show on their own. So we look at it as a way to hopefully make it more affordable for companies to be part of these large trade shows, and then to come together with other Hawaii companies and exhibit under the Hawaii brand. And we think that's also a very powerful tool, as well as Hawaii companies being together and being able to learn from each other. So those are Hawaii pavilions, and as we normally recruit for those separately, you would sign up for each show separately that you might be interested in. So here's the calendar of what we are, the shows that we are doing in 2022. 3 of these shows, the Gulf Food Show in Dubai in February, FoodX Japan in March, and then the IFEA in Tokyo in May are shows that are being organized by the Hawaii Department of Agriculture. So you would need to sign up through them. So those are the shows that we have planned for this upcoming year. Our final component is our company assistance. And this is where we award funds to companies to help them to support their export market development costs. This year we have 2 separate, we issue these, it's not considered a grant, we issue them through a request for proposal. And so this year we are putting them into 2 categories. We have our, for our new to export companies and our market expansion companies. So new to export really are considered just that, companies that have not exported before or have done occasional sales overseas, or maybe they may have exported at one time, but have not had any export sales in about 1.5 years. And then market expansion would be companies that are already exporting and looking to either go into new markets or maybe expand their product lines in a particular market that they may already be in. The new to export companies will be able to request a maximum of $5,000, and market expansion companies will be able to request a maximum of $15,000. One other requirement that we have for market expansion companies are that companies must have at least $200,000 in revenues to apply. And the reason we put that requirement in there is that it does take sufficient financial resources to be able to successfully, establish yourself in into a particular market. And so we want to make sure that companies have that when they are ready to, when they are participating in this program. And we don't want it to be just a one-time thing. We want you to be successful as you go on. So we currently have the proposals. We are accepting proposals, and the deadline is January 14th, which is a Friday at 4 p.m. And then we anticipate the awards would be made by the end of January. So again, I would direct you to go to our website to if you're interested in this, to look at the instructions on how to go about applying. So here are some of the types of expenses that can be used with the STEP funding. And I should say that when you're awarded, that funds are given on a reimbursable basis. So you would basically have to spend money up front and then submit all the supporting documentation to us to make sure that they are eligible costs for us to reimburse. So these are the types of expenses, e-commerce and website expenses, and SBA has really expanded this, especially during the pandemic, when a lot of companies could not travel or attend trade shows in order to be able to continue to sell overseas. Many companies we know have turned to e-commerce, and so Nicole did talk about the internationalization program that we are partnering with them on. So anyone that's interested in the Japan market that already has e-commerce on their website, I urge you to look at that. So e-commerce, including not just translating or localizing your website, but being able to set up for international payments, search engine optimization fees that you would have to pay for any particular platforms, even and even cybersecurity type of expenses. They can be used for international marketing media, including digital marketing and ad placements on social media, etc. Funds can also be used for airfare. Please note that if you're traveling out of the country, that you have to follow Fly America guidelines, which means basically you have to use a domestic carrier with some exceptions of some countries that we have an agreement with. Funds can also be used for trade show booth rental and other trade show expenses, including if you have to hire an interpreter for a show. And then I would just also add that when I talk about those trade shows, those do not have to be the trade shows that we are organizing as company under the Hawaii Pavilions. They can be other trade shows that you want to. In fact, we encourage that. Other trade shows that you feel are useful and for your product or your service. So funds can also be used for shipping your products to and from the trade show. They can be used for a gold key service or any of the US commercial service programs that are out there to help Hawaii companies. And those of you not familiar with the US commercial service, they come under the US Department of Commerce, and they are located around the world in embassies and consulates, and their job is to help US companies do business in that particular country. So there is some fee for using their services, and HiSTEP funds can be used for that, or for other federal export development programs like the Ex-Im Bank. If you use any of their credit insurance or any of those type of Ex-Im Bank products, and any fees associated with that can be used, can be covered with STEP funds. Funds can also be used for shipping sample products for buyers that may not want to place a full order, but just want a sample shipment. They can also be used, the funds can also be used for compliance testing, important for food products and skincare products. To get into certain countries, you need to have a certification, and in order to get the certification, you need to pay for lab testing. So funds can be used for that. And funds can also be used for export research tool subscriptions. So some industries have companies that may specialize in research for that particular industry. So it can be used for that type of information, that can help you make decisions as to where you want to export your product. So basically, what are we looking for in terms of success for HiSTEP? We're looking at expanding the amount of exports and also the dollar amount of exports from Hawaii produced goods and services. We want to see a larger number of Hawaii companies being out there in the global marketplace. And then we also want to see new markets opening up for Hawaii products and services. So if you are eligible and you're interested, even if you're just only thinking about exporting, I would encourage you to go to our website, again, invest.hawaii.gov under the exporting tab, and click on registration and submit a registration form. And this does not obligate you to anything. It doesn't mean you have to go to a trade show. It doesn't mean you have to apply for company assistance. It just helps us learn more about you, and then also helps us as we put you in touch with our partner organizations for further consultation. And this is just sort of a depiction of what happens when you put in your registration. It comes to us, and then we will put you in touch with one of our partner organizations listed here. And then after you go through that process, and hopefully you have your export development plan. And I should note that when you apply, if you're going to apply for company assistance, we do need an export development plan for you. It's what we evaluate your proposal on, basically, because we want to see, what country you're looking at. Why do you want to go there? Is there a good is that a good country for your product or your service? How you intend to be successful in the country, etc. So, and this is our contact information for myself, Mark, and Lyle. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now or at the end of the session. Thank you. Now I want to turn it over to back to Mark.
Great, thank you, Jamie. Okay, thank you, Jamie. I'd like to talk now about another one of our programs, which is the Enterprise Zone program. And that basically was established by the legislature, again, kind of in the early 1990s. And the primary purpose of that program is to create jobs and retain jobs and stimulate certain types of business or industry development in economically challenged areas of the state. And that usually means sort of different census tracts. So how does the program work? Well, basically, in exchange for job creation, companies that are located in enterprise zones can receive tax benefits. And I'll go into those tax benefits in just a minute. So which businesses are actually eligible for this program, for these tax benefits, state tax benefits? Basically, it's agricultural production, those involved in agricultural production, those involved in manufacturing and wholesaling and distribution. There's a lot of other kind of miscellaneous sort of technology related categories, but the bulk of our companies that are in this program are either agriculture or manufacturing or wholesaling. That's the bulk of them. Here are the actual enterprise zones, and these are chosen every 20 years. When they expire, they have to be redesignated. The counties are the ones that actually propose the zones, and then those are approved by the state with a recommendation from Cbed. And then when they need to be reauthorized, we have to go back to sort of different census data sets to see what is still eligible, and then those are reauthorized. We're at the point in this program where we've had a lot of reauthorizations in the past 5 years on in most counties. So what are these tax benefits that you as a manufacturer or wholesaler or ag company or one of these miscellaneous categories, technology related categories, if you're in one of those, why would you join this program? Well, first of all, the program lasts for 7 years. You enroll in the program, it's an online enrollment, and what we check for is to make sure you're actually in an enterprise zone, and then you give us more details about your company, that you're in the right industry or one of the industries that's eligible, and then we also look at your starting employment number. Because in order to join the program, the way you get your benefits is if you meet the hiring requirements of the program. And so and I'll get into those in just a minute. So if each year you file with us, and Cbed's role is to certify that either you met or did not meet the requirements of the program. In other words, the job hiring number. If you meet the requirements of the program, you get a certification letter from us, which means you can go and take the tax incentives. And there's a special state tax form just for enterprise zones where you do your math and then you get your tax benefits. So there's basically 4 tax benefits that go with the enterprise zone program. The first one is 100% exemption from the GET. In other words, technically you don't have to charge the GET, but most companies actually collect the GET, and then at the end of the year when they do their reconciliation and they get their certification letter that they are eligible to take the tax benefits, they get all that GET money back. Also, you get a tax credit, and it's considered a non-reimbursable tax credit. And so what that means is it's only on money that you owe the state that you get the credit on. So if you owe the state $1,000, the first year of the program, you're going to get 80% of that back, or $800 will come back to you. There's also a similar schedule, and then it declines 10% to year 7, where it's at 20% that you get back. You also get the unemployment insurance credit, which means all the unemployment insurance you pay the state for your workers, you get 80% of that back the first year. So in other words, if you paid $1,000 into that, you're going to get $800 back, or you paid $10,000 into that, you're going to get $8,000 back the first year if you qualify, with the job hiring numbers. So that's the first three. The last one is if you are again, like a manufacturer or a wholesaler or a company that you're going to do some type of construction, let's say refurbishing your facility, building a warehouse. If you use a Hawaii licensed contractor, that contractor does not have to charge you the GET. And so if you're going to, as an example, build $1 million warehouse, that could save you like $50,000 on the construction cost because the general contractor does not have to charge you the GET. There are also county benefits, and maybe I should have emphasized this a little more. This is a state-county partnership. So we have county enterprise zone coordinators on each island, in each county, and they also offer benefits. And they have to actually, by statute, offer benefits. So on some of them, it's fast track permitting. It's delay of like increasing, your property taxes when you do improvements and things like that. And you can sort of see here are some of them for the different counties. So now let's get to what do you have to do in order to be able to take these tax benefits and why you file with Cbed each year. It's all online. It's very quick. But to get your certification letter so that when you do your taxes, you can actually take the tax credits. So if you're considered a new business, and that means the enterprise zone was already there when you started the business, and the vast majority of the companies in the program, that's the situation, you only have to increase your employment by 10% the first year and then just maintain that for the 7 years. And so that means if you have 10 employees at the beginning of the program when you're enrolled, let's say you're going to do it on the calendar year, January 1st, it means then when you're filing with us, you need to have 11 employees. And that's what we're going to be looking for in order to certify you. Those below 10, like if it's 5, we don't do sort of part FTEs or I'm sorry, that wasn't correctly said. You can't just do a partial employee. So we round up. So if you have 5 employees, you're going to be expected to have 6. If you have 1, we're expected to have 2. But when you get up to 10, then it's 10% and you just hold those. In the more rare situation, and we don't have very many of these, where your company already existed before the enterprise zone was actually designated, then they make the hiring requirements a little more onerous. And that is for the first 3 years, it's the same as a new business. But then in years 4 through 7, you're expected to sort of increase your employment more. And I think the reasoning behind that is that you already existed as a company, you were already doing fine. You didn't need any incentive to move into that area because the enterprise zone wasn't even there. I think we only have a couple of companies in the program now that actually fall into this category. And that's it. I kind of did that very quickly, but please go to our website at invest.hawaii.gov/business/EZ. We have lots of links there, and we have the online enrollment form there. And particularly on the links, I know I showed the map very quickly. There's links there to GIS maps that you can sort of zoom in on right down to street level. And sometimes, an enterprise zone is on one side of the street, not on the other side of the street, but you just keep hitting the zoom button and you can get right down to street level and see if your company or your address is in an enterprise zone. So that's the first check. And then if you qualify, you're in one of those industries. And the best time really to join this program, it may help you save money. And the whole reason for doing this, it helps the company save a lot of money, but then it also stimulates employment and particular types of business activity in kind of economically challenged areas of the state. But the best time to join this is when you actually owe the state money, because if you don't owe the state any money, if you're operating in the red, this program's not going to help you that much because you can't take the tax credits then, because you actually have to owe the state. It's considered non-reimbursable. So you're not going to get any money back if you are not owing the state any money. Also, along with that, if you're in the black and doing well and owing the state money, it's the time when you think you're going to be starting to hire people, because then you're going to be able to meet that hiring requirement, and these tax benefits are going to be much more meaningful. We hate to see people join and then waste a couple of years where they're not getting that much money back because they're operating in the red, and maybe they're not even getting certified to take the tax breaks because they're not hiring people or as the program is sort of intended. I'm happy to take any questions. I just thought I would look in the chat here to see if there's any.
We do have one in the chat.
Okay.
It says, if you are in the enterprise zone program and you collect GET, but get it back at the end of the year, does that mean I can keep the GET I've collected?
Yeah, first of all, we don't give tax advice, but yes, it's a GET waiver. And some companies don't even, technically you don't even have to charge the GET if you're in the enterprise zone program. However, at the end of the year, if for some reason you are not able to take the tax credits because you didn't meet the hiring requirements, then DOE tax is going to penalize you for not paying the GET. So that's why most companies go ahead and charge it, but then they just get it back at the end of the year. And yes, they keep it. One other sort of question related to this too is, I told you what kind of businesses are eligible, manufacturing, wholesaling, ag related. One type of business that's not eligible for this program, and that's retail. So when you're doing your tax form, it's going to separate out retail. So just let me give you an example. If you're a manufacturer, but then you have like a retail store where you're selling all your product, you're not going to benefit from this program very much because it's very much geared towards wholesaling, and those companies that are collecting or charging the wholesale tax, not the retail tax, the 4.5, or depends what island you're on, but the 0.5 wholesale tax. So if more than 51% of your business is wholesale, that's where you want to be to benefit from this program.
We do have another question that came in.
I see it right here. And the question is it a rolling application? Is there a deadline for each year? It is a rolling application. And so what you would do is, if you put it in now, you have a choice. If you put your application in now, we could process it and then start you December 1st. Or we might recommend you just wait till January 1st, so then you'd be on a calendar year. The thing is, when you come in kind of in the middle of the year, there's no problem with that. It's just when you do your taxes and you figure out what tax credits you can take, you have to prorate it. And any accountant can do this very easily, but you have to prorate it. So you may only get 6 months of prorated benefit for that sort of first year. And then what'll happen on the back end after year 7, you would just prorate that year as well. And it's not a problem. A lot of our companies are midstream, every month of the year. Sometimes when we're already getting towards, the holidays here, it's good just to say, let's just start on January 1st, and then you're just on a calendar year, and it's a little bit cleaner and easier, but any accountant can do the prorating. One last point that I didn't mention is for manufacturers and agricultural companies, you can do a 3-year extension after the 7 years. That is something the Ledge added a number of years ago, so that you can actually be in the program for 10 years. The tax credits are at the 20% level. It's just sort of flattens out from year 7, and you can do 3 more years. But that's only for manufacturers and for agricultural companies. And I think I'd like to hand this now over to Lyle Fujikawa, who can talk to our Made in Hawaii program. So over to you, Lau.
Great, thank you very much, Mark. Hi, I am, Lyle Fujikawa. I work with Jamie and Mark on various programs. I worked in Tokyo for 15 years, so I do have information if you are interested in exporting to Japan. I did work on that process. So I am now going to talk to you about the Made in Hawaii program, and wanted to share with you some updates. So from the pandemic in 2020, we actually created the Buy Hawaii, Give Aloha program, creating a portal site that basically aggregated online shopping companies. It wasn't a site like Amazon per se, but we started putting together marketplaces, companies that had online shopping, and really started to promote the fact that they could do this online instead of in person. As of this year, Made in Hawaii was created by legislation from the state. And so we have transformed into the Made in Hawaii program, continuing the same idea that it is a portal site promoting the businesses that make Hawaii made products. So we list local retailers, we have restaurants, farmers, delivery of food products, and of course manufacturers. So we even have a section for PPE that Innovate Hawaii had supported last year. The idea is that we have, it's a one-stop shop. So shoppers who want to buy Hawaii made products, it's easy to find. We actually are undergoing, we're preparing for a holiday campaign to be happening very soon. And we will continue to do branding and promotion. So the requirements are, there is a valuation form that, as we had talked about, promoting Made in Hawaii, there is a valuation, basically 51% or more value added manufacturing wholesale in Hawaii. And we ask for you to basically submit a valuation for just one product. And so we request that most of your products that you sell online are made in Hawaii, so that we can continue to promote that. At this point, we are actually going through recruiting again. So I just put the link to the website. You can go to About Us to apply online. And besides the programs that we're working on for promotion, we also are listing resources. We work together, of course, with Innovate Hawaii, who is a big supporter, not only manufacturing, but e-commerce capabilities, and scaling up, right, the consulting and things like that. We do work with the Pataming Center, Shop Small Hawaii. We have been working with other marketplaces such as Mana Up. They recently had their virtual showcase. We also supported the Made in Hawaii Festival that just happened, and also the Made in Maui County Festival. So we are all working together to promote our Hawaii companies and to really get that brand out. The idea is that the coming legislative session in January will work out more details in terms of what does that really mean, Made in Hawaii. And so we actually are putting together, or we have put together a survey. We're distributing it out now. And so I'll send it to everyone who's on this call. A means to measure, how many companies can really qualify under the program. We say 51% or more, but we understand, it is very difficult to manufacture in Hawaii due to the cost, geographic distance, et cetera. And so there is a new aspect to Made in Hawaii, which measures, or it asks you to evaluate intellectual property. So your design, the concepts, the special aspects of being from Hawaii and being made in Hawaii, that intellectual property value is something that we're trying to measure. And so we'll gather this feedback. The deadline is December 20. So we hope to get a lot of data that we can put together before the session comes in mid-January. And we will work out a lot of details in terms of, what does a brand really mean, right? It's not just about being made in Hawaii, but there's a lot of aspirational, emotional value, of course. And we expect to produce, put together other campaigns to help promote. So Made in Hawaii is really an overall overarching brand. It serves all the programs that we talked about today, right? Cbed, enterprise zones, and especially the HiSTEP program, because we all know the value of being made in Hawaii has, for consumers and also for the whole supply chain, right? So everyone does value, the brand of Hawaii, and we really want to quantify it and support it in as much as possible to support your companies. So we do encourage you to not only sign up and to join the program, but to definitely fill out the survey that you'll be receiving and then share it with other manufacturing companies that you may know. So very quickly, that's it. I will turn it back to Nicole. If you have any questions, we can go through. Stop sharing right now.
Thanks, Lyle. Anyone have any last questions for our presenters? Doesn't really look like it. Well, thank you, Mark, Jamie, and Lyle today for presenting on such great resources available for our manufacturers in our state. And any last words, Mark, Jamie, or Lyle, before we say goodbye today?
Oh, no, just thank you very much, Nicole, Wayne, and Cindy for hosting this. And we look forward to getting to know your manufacturers better and see how our programs can help them to be successful and grow and recover, get out of this pandemic.
Great. Thanks so much, Mark. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I will definitely send out the recording and the slides from the presentations to everyone who registered. All right. Mahalo. Thank you, everyone.